A very good morning, students. In our previous video, we discussed the stack application, which is postfix expression evaluation. How we can evaluate an expression if it is given in postfix notation that we have seen. We have discussed different examples by taking the expression in infix. From there, we converted the expression to postfix. Then we have done the evaluation. And in both the processes, whether it is conversion from infix to postfix or postfix expression evaluation, in both the processes we have used stacks. Okay. So till now, we have discussed all the concepts related to the stacks. First, we discussed what is stack, the concept we discussed, how the push and pop operations will be performed on a stack that we discussed. Then the applications of stacks, we discussed different applications. Among that, we have gone into deep uh, in these expressions, isn't it? Whether it is infix, postfix, prefix, we have gone into deep. We discussed what is infix, what is postfix, what is prefix, and how we can do the conversion from infix to postfix and infix to prefix. As far as the coding is concerned, we discussed three different programs, very important programs, three different programs under this stacks concept. The first one, the stack implementation itself, whether it is integer specific or template, both the things we have discussed. You have to understand the difference between what is data type specific and what is data type independent implementation. Data type specific implementation, in the sense we are going with a specific data type only. The complete implementation of stack we are doing for one specific data type only. But when we are saying data type independent, we are doing the implementation with the help of templates. And I told you, type independent implementation, it is very important. Template implementation, it is very important. Whenever they ask the questions, whenever they ask you to write the code in your exams, they will ask you to write the template code only. They will not ask you to write integer specific, character specific, boolean specific, double specific. Like this, they will not ask. They will not ask the code to any particular data type. They will ask the template code, that is type independent code. Generic programming they will ask. So in this, if you consider like this, the implementation, we discussed three things. The first one, the complete stack implementation using templates. You have to be familiar with this code. You have to practice. You have to get into. You have to do the analysis of each and every line of code what we have written in that program, because it is very, very, very important. Stack implementation, it is very important. And then we have done the conversion of infix to postfix expression. Okay, if an expression is given in infix notation, how we can convert it into postfix notation, that we have seen. Then we discussed the postfix expression evaluation, isn't it? Postfix expression evaluation also we have discussed. That evaluation, when we discussed, I have not only explained the concept of how we do the evaluation of a given postfix expression, but also we have done the implementation, isn't it? We have also done the implementation. Implementation is nothing but the coding. We have also written the coding for postfix expression evaluation. So simply speaking, if you are good at the stack implementation, both type specific as well as template, I have shown you how you can convert a stack code written in template, using template, that how you can convert, how you can make it as integer specific, that also have explained. Simply that template definitions we have to remove from every line, from every function. Then it will become type specific code. Okay, so that conversion we have seen. So if you are good at these things, if you are good at writing the template code, and if you are good at making the template code type specific, then you can easily do these two, that is infix to postfix conversion, as well as postfix expression evaluation. These topics, these concepts, you have to like you just mug up, I mean to say. Okay, understand it, try to remember the code, try to remember the concept thoroughly, because these are very important concepts from the second unit. Okay, so in today's class, as we have completed the stacks concept completely, including the stack applications, in today's class we'll be discussing a new data structure, that is a queue data structure. Okay, it is also a data structure because it is going to have a collection of data elements. It is not a single data element. When you use a queue, it is used to store the collection of data elements. That is the reason why we are calling it as a data structure. Data structure, queue is a data structure. So what is a queue basically, and what are the applications of this queue in our programming, and how the operations on a queue will be performed, that is data insertion, data deletion, data searching, how it will be performed inside a queue, that we have to understand. Because all these things we have done in with respect to the stack also, isn't it? We have seen, first of all, what is a stack, what are the applications of stack, examples of stack, how the pop is nothing but deletion, push is nothing but insertion, will be performed on a stack, and then we have done the coding as well. So in today's class also, with respect to queue, we will do all these things. What is a queue, examples for queue, applications of queue, operations on a queue, coding for the queue. Okay, so quickly go and see QADT. As I said, it is an abstract data type. Abstract in the sense all the details of the implementation, they are hidden. Simply you have to remember the function names, and you have to get the functionality from that ADT by using simply the function names. Or you can do the complete implementation by your own. So as a programmer, we have to know, first of all, we have to know the ADT. What every function of the queue will do, that we have to know. Then we should be in a position to do the implementation. We should be in a position to do the implementation of those ADTs, those abstract functions, those hidden functions. Okay, so quickly go and see. As I said, a queue, it is a data structure, and it is a linear data structure. Linear in the sense all elements will be stored in a sequential fashion. Okay, like boxes one after the other. If you put all the boxes one after the other in a linear fashion, then you can call that thing as a queue. Then you call that structure as a queue. So similar to that one, we put all the memory locations inside our computer memory one after the other in a sequential fashion, in a linear sequential fashion. So that is the reason why we are calling this data structure as a queue. And queue, moreover, like your stack, it is also going to store all the elements of same type. All the elements of same type. No mixed elements. No mixed elements. All elements of the same types. So we can call your queue as a homogeneous data type, because it is going to store all elements of the same type. Okay, a queue is a linear data structure which follows a particular order in which the operations are performed. So where this queue is going to be differ from the stack means, how the queue is different from the stack means, in terms of operations performed. In terms of operations performed. In a stack, we are performing all our operations at top of the stack only. All our operations where we are performing at top of the stack only. But in a queue, we are going to have two different ends. Two different ends. We call them as front end, rear end. We call them as front end and rear end. Some operations we perform at the front end and some operations we perform at the rear end. So what operations we perform at front end and what operations we perform at rear end, that we discuss in detail. So simply you remember, unlike your stack, your queue is going to have two ends. In your stack, we are considering only one end, isn't it? Top of the stack, and all operations we are performing at top of the stack only. But in a queue, we are considering two ends, front end, rear end, and some operations we perform at front end and some operations we perform at rear end. So in short, if you want to remember this statement, if I generalize this statement, we are going to perform the operations in a queue on both ends. Okay, on both ends we perform the operations on a queue. Hopefully you understood. So, and all the elements inside a queue, okay, how they are inserted and how they are removed means in a FIFO fashion. First in, first out fashion. Okay, this order also you will understand very soon when we discuss the example. So how the elements will be inserted and deleted inside a queue means in a FIFO fashion. First in, first out. Whoever comes first, he will be removed first. In your stack, we are doing in LIFO fashion, isn't it? Last in, first out. Whoever comes last, he will be removed first. Whoever comes last, whatever elements is we are pushing into the stack as a last element, that element we are popping first. So that is the reason why insertion and deletion or push and pop operations in a stack will be performed in LIFO fashion, last in, first out. But whereas in a queue, all the operations we are performing in, all the elements will be inserted and removed in FIFO fashion, first in, first out. Element insertion into the queue, we call it as NQ operation. Okay, element insertion into the queue, we call it as NQ operation, and element deletion from a queue, we call it as DQ operation. What we call element insertion, we call it as NQ, and element deletion, we call it as DQ. Sorry for this disturbance. So element insertion, how we are inserting the elements inside a queue means in FIFO fashion. FIFO, F-I-F-O. So FIFO, abbreviation, first in, first out. First in, first out fashion. First in, first out fashion. And insertion, we are calling it as element insertion, we call it as NQ. NQ. And element deletion from the queue, we call it as DQ. Element deletion, we call it as DQ. Element insertion, NQ, element deletion, we call it as DQ. NQing elements means we are inserting new elements. DQing elements means we are removing elements from the queue. So the order is first in, first out, FIFO. The insertion operation, NQ operation, can be performed at one side, that is rear side. So element insertion we are doing at the rear end, that is where we perform the element insertion, and elements will be removing operation, that is DQ operation, we perform at another end, we call it as front end. So element insertion always from the rear of the queue, rear end of the queue. Element removal always from the front end of the queue. Element insertion from the rear end, element deletion from the front end. This also you have to remember. All elements will be inserted and deleted in FIFO fashion, first in, first out fashion, and all the elements will be inserted, enqueued from the rear end, and all elements will be removed, deleted, or dequeued from the front end. So these things you have to remember. So queue is a collection because it is going to have more number of elements, more than one elements. That is the reason why we are calling it as a collection, and it is an entity, abstract data type. The code is already given, but it is hidden from the programmer, from the end user. That is the reason why we are calling it as abstract data type. So if you want a good example of this particular queue is suppose the railway reservation counter. Okay, if you assume the railway reservation counter, what we are going to have there? We are going to have a queue, isn't it? At reservation counters, basically we are going to have queues. So let us assume the reservation person is sitting over here and he's serving the customers. He's serving the passengers. So generally, what we are going to have? We are going to have a window in between, a reservation window, isn't it? In between the customers and the passengers and the reservation people, we are going to have a reservation window. So generally, how the people will stand over here? The people will form a queue, isn't it? They will form a queue. So like this, they will form a queue. So generally, all the people will stand like queue. They form a queue over here. So let us assume three persons are standing over here already. Person 1, person 2, and person 3. Like this they are standing. And a new person has entered. So this queue, it is, what is the front of this queue? If all they are going to face this side, isn't it? By standing in this queue, all they are going to face the reservation people only. This is the reservation people, reservation counter. We can say this is reservation counter, and this complete thing is your passenger queue. Passenger queue. They are going to stand like this. So this is your front end, isn't it? Because they are going to face this person. They are going to face this person. So that is the reason why we call this end as front of the queue. This end as front of the queue. Understanding is very important. So before going to the concept, before we see how we implement a queue, this understanding is very important. So this is the rear end. Okay, back of the queue. This is the rear end. This is the rear end. This is front and this is rear. So let us suppose a new person has come to do the reservation. A new person has come to do the reservation. So can he enter from the end, from the front end? Does it possible? No, because they will not be okay. If he is going to enter from the front, they will not be okay. So what he has to do? He has to enter the queue from the rear end only. So the element insertion into the queue, how it has to be done in reality? Okay. So sir, if he is a VIP, if he is having some other considerations, then the case will be different. Don't put all those conditions over here. We are discussing the generalized way of a queue over here. Okay. So we consider him as a normal person. We don't consider him as a specialized element or specialized person. So if he is a normal passenger, then of course he has to enter the queue from the rear end. So he will come over here and he will stand in the queue like this. Understood? So always the element insertion into the queue supposed to be done from the rear end. Supposed to be done from the rear end. Even if a new person will come, one more person will come, he has also come from the rear end only. Okay, they will be added. All the new persons will be added from the rear end only, not from the front end. Okay, so the next thing, the deletion. So when these persons will be removed from this queue, okay, when these persons will be removed from this queue, in the sense, once they are satisfied, okay, once they got the service from this reservation person, Okay, once they got the service or once they got the ticket from this reservation counter, then only they will leave this queue. And how they will leave the queue? Okay, once let us assume this passenger one, the first passenger standing in this queue, okay, got the service from the reservation counter. Now he wants to leave the queue. Now he wants to leave the queue. How he is going to leave the queue? Is he going to leave the queue from the front or from the rear? From the front only. It is very easy, isn't it? So these persons, after getting the services, they are going to be removed from the front end only. Like this only, they have to be removed. Insertion will be done from the rear end and deletion will be done from the front end. This you have to remember. Insertion will be done from the rear end and deletion will be done from the front end. Okay, hopefully you understood. Okay, so the next thing, yes, now you see how the order, whether we are following that FIFO or not, first in, first out or not, FIFO or not. So in this queue, whoever comes first, he will be served first, isn't it? Whoever comes first, he will be served first. That means whoever comes, whoever enters into the queue, that is first in, whoever enters into the queue first will go out first, isn't it? Whoever enters into this queue first will go out first. So first in, first out. Whoever enters last will go out last. Last in, last out. So your queue will follow first in, first out fashion. First in, first out fashion. The persons or the elements who comes first will be served or will be removed first from the queue. So this is your queue functionality. In this way we perform the operations on the queue. Insertion operation we are performing at the rear end and deletion operation we are performing at the front end. Rear end, front end. Like this you remember. So a good example of the queue is the customer for resources where the customers that come first is served first. This we discussed. So the difference between stack and queue is in a stack, all operations we are performing at the same end, that is top of the stack. Element insertion, element removal, we are performing at only one end, that is top of the stack. But whereas in queue, we are performing at different ends. Some operations we are performing at front end and some operations we are performing at rear end. Okay. So in terms of removal, if you consider, in terms of removal, that is FIFO and LIFO, first in, first out, last in, first out. So in terms of removal of the element, the most recent element will be removed first in a stack. The most recent element which is inserted into the stack, which is pushed into the stack, will be removed first. Will be removed first. The most recent element will be removed first, but whereas in a queue, the most recent element will be removed first. Sorry, most what we call least recent element will be removed first. Hope you understood. In a stack, we remove the most recent element. Most recent element in a stack. Most recent in a stack. But whereas in a queue, least recent will be removed first in a queue. In a queue. So as you can see over here, we have added these items into the queue. So 1, 2, 3, like this, we have different items inside your queue, and all items we are dequeuing. Dequeue means removing from the front end. As you can see, this is your queue formation, and this is the front end of your formation, and this is the rear end of your queue. Okay, and all elements how we are removing means in a first in, first out fashion. First in, first out, because he entered, this first item entered first into the list. That is the reason why we are removing it first. So enqueued, all elements will be enqueued from the rear end and all elements will be dequeued from the front end. So if this is a queue, in this way we are performing the insertion and deletion operation, enqueue and dequeue operations. Enqueue and dequeue operations. Applications of the queue, if you see, we have different algorithms like breadth first search. One particular algorithm, breadth first search, which we perform on a tree. When you are searching the elements inside a tree, we perform this breadth first search. In that breadth first search, we use this queue. Okay, it is a very big concept, and that complete concept I will not explain over here. So simply you remember, in a tree, whenever we perform the breadth first search operation, we need a queue. Okay, the property of a queue, it is also useful in different CPU scheduling algorithms. Inside your computer, we are going to have a processor, CPU. That processor, how all the activities, whatever activities you are performing inside a computer, we call them as processes. For every activity you are performing, a different process will be created inside your computer. Okay, so a different process, suppose you are listening to music, one process. You are watching the video at the same time, another process. You are browsing something on the internet, another process. You are doing some word document, you are editing some word document, another process. Likewise, all activities, whatever activities you perform on a computer, all those activities will create processes inside your computer. For a process to complete its execution, it needs CPU time, it needs CPU attention. So basically, if multiple processes are waiting inside your computer for their completion, how their execution has to be done, how their execution has to be done means that with the help of CPU scheduling algorithms, we call it as CPU scheduling algorithms. That CPU scheduling and disk scheduling, not only CPU but also the hard drive, suppose you are copying something into one location, at the same time you are deleting something from that location, you are moving something from one another location. Likewise, if you are performing multiple disk operations, all those disk operations are to be performed in a synchronized manner. That synchronization we do with the help of disk scheduling algorithms. So that disk scheduling and CPU scheduling, it requires your queue. Generally in a queue manner only we do, because all those processes and all those file operations, if you consider them as customers or passengers, and your CPU or the disk, if if it is a reservation counter, then all those passengers are to be satisfied by this reservation counter in a queue fashion only, isn't it? In a queue fashion. Otherwise, if you do it in a stack fashion, what will happen? Whoever enters the stack first, he has to wait forever. Neither he is going to get satisfied, nor he is going to be released from the stack. So that is the reason why what we are doing, we are selecting queue. Whoever comes first, served first. Hope you understood. So not only that, but buffers, input output buffers, where they are going to act like the mediators between the different memory units. You have keyboard, you have main memory. Between these two, we have to have a buffer, isn't it? This buffer is helpful in order to synchronize the different device speeds. Suppose if you have main memory, it is faster. You have keyboard, it is slower. So keyboard is going to push the data into the main memory, means main memory will remain idle for a longer time. So what will happen generally? The main memory will be busy with some other activities until and unless your keyboard is going to push the enough data to match the what we call main memory speed. So where that pushing is going to be stored, where that keyboard data is going to be stored, means inside this buffer only. And how that data will be stored inside the buffer means in a queue fashion only. Suppose if you are hitting the A key first, then B key, C key, D key, like this you are hitting the keyboard keys. So whatever you are hitting first, that is going to be entered, enqueued into the buffer, and then B, then C, then D. All these are going to be enqueued how you are hitting, the way you are hitting. Once the main memory will become available, all are going to be dequeued from that buffer in the same way how they are inserted into the queue, how they are enqueued into the queue. So hope you got this one. So next is the queue entity. We have queue abstract data type. Already I told you, abstract data type means the details are going to be hidden. The coding is going to be hidden, and only the way these operations are to be performed and the functionality of these operations, it is going to be exposed. Isn't it? It is going to be exposed. So if you read the first statement over here, a queue contains elements of the same type. A queue contains elements of the same type. So we can call the queue as a homogeneous data homogeneous data structure, and they are going to be arranged in a linear sequential fashion, and the operations take place at both the ends. If you have front and rear ends, both the ends, operations take place at both the ends. And what sort of operations we can perform on a queue means their description we have given in this section. So following operations can be performed on a queue. So the first operation, enqueue operation, what it will do, it will inserts an element at the rear end of the queue, back of the queue, not the front but back of the queue. It will insert one element at back of the queue if the queue is not full. If the queue is full, there is no mean, isn't it? There is no meaning of inserting new elements into that queue. We cannot simply. It is an error. Inserting new elements into the normal queue, it is not possible. Okay. So insertion generally we performing enqueuing at the rear end of the queue only if the queue is not empty. Sorry, if the queue is not full. So if you read the description of this operation, enqueue operation inserts an element at the rear end of the queue if the queue is not full. If the queue is not full, then dequeue removes and return the first element yani from the front end. First element in the sense from the front end of the queue if the queue is not empty. If the queue is empty means there is no mean that we are performing the dequeue operation. There is no meaning of performing the dequeue operation. So when we can perform the dequeue operation means if the queue is not empty, then only we can perform the dequeue operation. And that removal, the dequeue operation, from which end we are performing, in the sense from the front end we are performing. So peek front, we have an operation peek front, it will peek the front element, and peek rear, it will peek the rear element, first element and the last element. Then size, it will return the total number of elements present inside the queue. Whatever number of elements you have currently inside, when you are calling this size operation inside your queue, it will return that count. If you have 2 elements means the count will be returned as 2. If you have 3 elements means the count will be returned as 3. Basically it is an integer value. The return type of this size function, it is an integer value. Okay, then is empty and is full, these two are used to check the fullness and emptiness of your queue. Fullness and emptiness of your queue. If the queue is completely empty, let us assume if the queue is completely empty means no single element need to be present. If the queue is not having even the single element inside it, then we call that queue as an empty queue. In that case, what will happen? This function, isEmpty function, will return true. IsEmpty function will return true. Even if the queue is having one element, we will not consider that queue as an empty queue, and neither we will consider that queue as a full queue, isn't it? So isEmpty, if the queue is completely empty, then only it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Then isFull, only if the queue is completely full, then only we consider the queue as full. Even if one location is empty inside the queue, we will not consider that queue as full, and neither it is an empty queue. So only if the queue is completely full, then only this isFull function will return true, otherwise it will return false. And the return type of these two functions, it is Boolean only, isn't it? It is Boolean only. Either it is going to return true or it is going to return false. So Boolean. And what will be the return type of this enqueue? It is void, because it is not. It is used only to insert the elements. It is not used as to return something, isn't it? But dequeue, yes, whatever type of queue you have created, that type the dequeue is going to have as a return value. The dequeue is going to have a return value. Basically, if you are doing the complete implementation with the help of template, then the dequeue return type will become template. Then peek front and peek rear, they are also going to return some value from the queue. They are going to read and return. They are not going to remove. They simply read and return from the queue. So the return type, it is specific to your queue type. Whatever queue type you are having, that same type of value, this peek front and peek rear are going to return. If your queue type is template, then peek front and peek rear also going to have return type as template only. Size, it is an integer type return type. Is empty, is full, boolean type of return type. So next, enqueue operation I have shown over here. So already I have a queue, and this is your front end and this is your rear end. As you can see over here, this is your front end and this is your rear end. So whatever elements I am going to insert, that I have to insert from the rear end. Here I have to insert this way. So as I am performing enqueue operation only in this diagram, what I am doing, I am performing the enqueue operation and I want to enter. Already I have in this queue A, B, C. So the order is very simple. First A got inserted, enqueued, then B got enqueued, then C got enqueued. Now I want to enqueue D. That I have to do at the rear end only. So basically what I have to do, I have to increment the rear. Isn't it? I have to increment the rear. Suppose if I have my queue, it is an array like this, then what I have to do before inserting this element, whatever element I am getting. So if I am considering that as item, whatever item I'm about to insert, before doing that, what I have to do, I have to increment the rear. So plus plus rear like this. So this will insert this particular item over here. Like this, the D will come and the rear will get incremented and it will point over here like this. So this is the before case when you have not done the insertion, and this is the after case when you have done the insertion. So D got inserted and rear got incremented. Rear got incremented. As we are inserting the elements, as we are enqueuing the elements only at the rear end, when you are performing the enqueue operation, nothing will be changed to the front. Nothing will be changed to the front. Okay. So the next thing, the dequeue operation, and dequeue, basically whatever got inserted least recently in the sense, the first element, whatever you inserted as the first element, that will be removed first. First in, first out. So here in my queue, A got inserted first. So whenever I am performing the dequeue operation on my queue, which element I have to remove? A I have to remove, isn't it? A I have to remove. That I am doing with the help of front. So what I have to do? I have to increment the front and I have to remove this A. So simply what I have to do, I have to remove, I have to read this A first. So how I can read? Suppose if you are reading that into an item, item is equals to queue of, first you have to read, then you have to increment. So front plus plus, front plus plus. In your previous case, if you have seen, first we have incremented, then we have inserted. So that is the reason why plus plus rear. But here first we are reading, then we are incrementing the front. So that is the reason why front plus plus like this. So very soon we are going to have the two things in our coding. Queue of plus plus rear, queue of front plus plus. So deletion, as you can see, as you have seen, we have incremented the front and we have removed this A. And we have removed this A from our consideration. So implementation. So before going to the implementation, I just want to give one simple example by taking the queue itself. Okay. So take the queue. So here we are going to maintain different variables for this queue. So the first variable is the capacity of the queue. Okay. So capacity means whatever size of queue you want. So that size you have to initialize to this capacity. So capacity we are going to take, and also as we are performing insertion from one end and deletion from another end, there is a need to maintain the count of the element. How many elements you have inside the queue, that count also you have to maintain. So that variable we are taking, count variable, and then front and rear, front variable and rear variable. So okay, all these things we have to maintain. Okay. So initially, yeah, what we are doing means, suppose I want my queue to have like 6 elements. 6, I think more work we have to do if it is 6. So I am taking like 5 elements. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So initially my front is going to point 0. This is my index 1 because I'm doing the array implementation. As you can see over here, array representation of q. So basically we do with the help of an array. So this is my index over here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So my capacity, how much? I have 5 elements. So 5 is my capacity. Right now, do I have any elements over here? No elements. So the count is 0. Then front is going to point the first element. So front, it is going to be 0. Then rear, we have to make it as to point the -1. Yani before this also we are going to have -1. Generally we are not going to use this one. Just as an assumption, you take it as -1. So rear is going to be here. Rear is going to be here. Okay, so like this. So rear, front, and this is my q. So whenever I am performing the insertion operation, insertion basically what we are doing, just now I have given the q as well. So let us suppose I'm taking the item as some 20. So this 20 I want to NQ into this queue. I want to NQ into this queue. So what I have to do? Yes, inside my NQ operation, I have to do these things. I have to do these things. I have to pass this item as an element over here, as an element. I'm writing just the pseudocode type of thing. I'm not writing the complete code. I'm just writing the algorithm or pseudocode kind of thing. So inside it, what I'm doing, I want to insert, I want to push into the queue. And let us assume this array name as q only. Better you take small because it is a variable name. So q u e u e, like this. Q. It is a q. So what I have to do? First of all, I have to check whether it is empty or not. Whether it is empty or not. How I can do that one? With the help of isEmpty. IsEmpty function. Simply I have to call this isEmpty function to check whether my queue is empty or not. That isEmpty we will discuss. First, let us discuss enqueue operation. So isEmpty, if this function is returning false, false means my queue is not empty. Then what I can do? I can perform the push. I can perform the enqueue. We should not call push. I can perform the enqueue. So how I can perform? First, what I have to do, because my item has to come over here, I have to increment the rear and then I have to perform the enqueue. So that how it will go. Q of plus rear equals to item, whatever item we have received. Q of plus rear equals to item. So this item, whatever we have, 20, it got placed. First, the rear value gets incremented. So now my rear will become 1. Initially, it was -1. So now it is becoming 0, isn't it? It is becoming 0. So what will happen? Your rear is going to point this location now. Rear is going to point this location. And at that point of time, what I am doing? At that point of time, I'm simply making the item to be initialized over here. So that 20 will come over here like this. So q plus rear, in the sense previously rear was -1, now rear is 0. So q of 0 equals to item. So q of 0, this location, and that 20 is my item. So it got placed over here. So doing like this, after doing like this, what we have to do? We have to increment the count also. Count plus plus. So count plus plus, in the sense previously my count value was 0. So now as I have one element in my queue, this count will become 1 now. This count will become 1 now. So next thing, insert another item. Item value I am taking like 45. Item equals to 45. That 45 will be checked over here. Is my queue empty? Not empty. Still we have locations. How we do isEmpty function, that also we will see. Still my queue is not empty. So what I have to do? I have to enqueue this 45 into the queue. So what I have to do? Basically, the queue rear value I have to increment. Plus rear. So right now my rear is 0. So what I am doing? I'm incrementing my rear to 1. So this 0 plus 1, it will become 1 only. So Q of 1, that is this location. So 45 will be placed over here. 45. Next, insert one more item. Item equals to some 52. I'm inserting. So again, 52 will come over here. Is empty. It is not empty. So Q of plus rear. Increment the rear value. Rear will become 2 now. So my rear is 2 now. And then we are inserting that 52 at Q of 2. So this is Q of 2. So that 52 we are inserting. So 52 will come over here. Like this. Insert another item. Item of some 67 I'm inserting. 67. So that 67 will come over here. Q is still not empty. So is empty will become false. Then Q of plus rear. So increment the rear value. So rear will become 3 now. So my rear will point third location. My rear will point third location. So it will go like this. Not here. It will go from here to here like this. My rear will point this location, and item, that is 67, we are inserting at Q of 3 because my rear is 3 now. So Q of 3. So that 3 is this location. So 67 will come over here. 67. So next, insert another item. Item of 79. Item of 79 I'm inserting. So item 79 is empty. Still we have one location. So next is empty will return false. So next is Q of. So sorry, here we should not check is empty, but we have to check is full. We have to check is full. It's my mistake. Here we have to check is full. Until and unless your queue is full, we can push all the elements into the queue. So until and unless my queue is full, I can enqueue the elements into my queue. So right now my queue is full. No, not full. So you can push that item also 79. So plus rear, increment the rear value. That rear value will become 4 now. So we are inserting this 79 to that location. So 79 will come here. Next, I want to push another item. Item 73 or 83. Item 83. I want to push what item? Item 83. So again, quickly come over here and see. Is full function. Is full function will return true this time because my my queue is full now. So is full function will return true. So simply this enqueue function will terminate by giving a message that you cannot perform the enqueue operation because your queue is completely full. In that way, the enqueue operation will terminate. Okay. So now we see the dequeue operation. So here one correction you have to make. Instead of checking is empty function, we have to check the is full function. I have given this wrongly to you. So correct it as, instead of checking is empty, we have to check the is full function every time before you perform the input operation, before you perform the enqueue operation. Okay, every time you have to check that is full function before you perform the enqueue operation. But in case if you are performing the dequeue, you have to check the is empty function. Okay. So simply remove this entire thing and yeah, we do the dequeue. No, not clear the canvas because I need this queue now. Whatever insertions we have done, to that insertions only we are performing the dequeue operations. So yes, next we are going to perform the dequeue operation. So generally dequeue will not require any item passing, and my rear, it is 4 now, as you can see. My rear, it is 4 now, and every time whenever I am inserting element, first count became 1, then it became 2, 3, 4, because every time we are doing count plus plus. So as I have 5 elements over here, my count will become 5 now. My count will become 5 now. Next is the DQ function. DQ, it will not take anything, but it will return the element, whatever we have, whatever type we have here. So inside DQ, what we have to do, yeah, this is your front end and this is your rear right now. Rear is 4. As you can see, front is 0 and rear is 4. So basically what we are doing, before deleting, before dequeuing any element, we need to check whether the queue is empty or not. Because if the queue is empty, we cannot perform the dequeue operation. So that will go to what we call underflow, isn't it? If your queue is empty and you are performing the dequeue operation, your queue will enter into underflow. And if your queue is full and you are performing the insertion, that we call it as overflow. So right now what we are doing, we are uh, removing the elements. So let us assume I'm performing the DQ. So what I have to do, first, yes, item you have to take from the queue. That item, how we are going to take? Queue of front plus plus. Queue of front plus plus, like this. So what it will do means, first it will read the locations value. What is my front value? 0. Right now it is 0. Before performing the increment, it is 0. So queue of 0, what it will be? 20. So this item will become 20. Then let us assume this is your output screen. Then this item will become 20. Then front will become 1, because we are saying front plus plus. First it will retrieve the value, then it will increment. So front will become 1 now. So when your front is 1, your front is going to point this second location. Your front is going to point this second location. Okay, and this, when it is pointing the second location, whatever you have over here, it doesn't play any role in our consideration. Whatever you have here, it doesn't play any role in our consideration. So simply remove it. Right now we move to the next location. Okay, we move to the next location. So remove this one from our consideration. What happens to this? It will remain intact over there itself, but it is not in our consideration. Okay, when the program terminates, these locations will be released. Okay, so the next thing, yeah, what I have to do, I have to decrement the count value also, because right now my count is 5, which is saying I have 5 elements in my queue. Is that true? No, it is not true. I have only 4 elements. So decrement the count. So count minus minus, count minus minus. So my count will become, from this 5, it will become 4 now. It will become 4 now. So like this. So next thing, yeah, whenever you are performing the deletion, DQ, your rear will become intact. Previously your front has not changed. Right now the rear will not change. Okay, so next perform, print this item, whatever item you have just retrieved from the queue, that you have to print. Print cout of item, like this you can print, then close. That's it. So before performing any DQ, you have to check the isEmpty function. If at all your queue is not empty, if at all isEmpty is returning false, then only you have to perform these operations. If at all it is returning true, here only you have to break. No need to perform these operations, these steps. Hope you understood. So every time whenever you are removing an item from the queue, your count must be decremented. Your item count must be decremented. So now, what will be the emptiness condition and what will be the full condition? So when we say the queue is full, when we say the queue is full, when your rear will become capacity minus 1. Okay, is full, it is very simple to implement. Is full, it is very simple to implement. What we have to do under is full means, simply you have to check whether rear is equals to capacity minus 1 or not. Capacity minus 1 or not. This thing you have to check. Simply say return of rear equals to capacity minus 1. If at all this condition is true, it will return true. If at all this condition is false, it will return false. If your rear value is 4, right now my rear is 4. and it is 5 minus 1, capacity minus 1 we are saying, 5 minus 1. So 4 equals to 4, 5 minus 1, that is 4. 4 equals to 4, condition true. So this is full function will return true. So that indicates your queue is full. Okay, this is the only statement that we are going to check when your queue is empty or full or not, whether your queue is full or not. But how we check the emptiness? How we check the emptiness of our queue is empty? There are two things you have to check. Is empty, we have to check two things. Okay, is empty, we have to check two things. First, if at all your front value is 0, front equals to 0. If at all your front is 0, that means your queue is empty. Your queue is empty. Or, sorry, not front, I think rear. If at all your rear value is 0, or we can say if at all rear value is 0, or if at all your count value, we have a variable count. If your count is 0, that means if you don't have any elements in your queue, that will indicate your queue as empty. So if at all this condition is true, you have to return true. Okay, if at all your count is 0, or we say front is 0, front equals to it should be also 0. If both these things are matching, then we have to say your queue is empty. Else what we have to do? Else return uh, rear equals to front minus 1 or not. Front minus 1 or not. This condition you have to check. Very soon you will understand all these things in your programming. So quickly go and do the implementation. See, over here also I have written the complete functions. So isEmpty function, in the first case what we are doing, we are checking whether front equals to 0 or not. Front equals to 0 means you have not performed any deletion operations so far. If front equals to 0, immediately what you have to do, whether you have enqueued any elements or not, that you have to check. Whether you have enqueued any elements or not, that you have to check. That how we can check means return count equals to 0. If your count value is 0, that means your queue is empty. Else, if your front is not 0, if your front value is not 0, then what we have to do, rear must be front minus 1. Rear must be front minus 1. In that case, we are returning true. Otherwise, we are returning false. So these two conditions indicates your emptiness of your queue. Emptiness of your queue. If at all front equals to 0, your count must be 0. This is your emptiness, queue emptiness condition. Otherwise, if your front is not equals to 0, then your rear must be rear minus 1. Oh, sorry, front minus 1. These two conditions will indicate your emptiness of the queue. That I am writing over here in detail. See, if front equals to 0, if at all your front equals to 0, then what we are doing, we are checking count equals to 0 or not. Count equals to 0 or not. If both the things are true, then we are saying queue is empty. Then we are saying queue is empty. Queue is empty. If this is true, then we are saying queue is empty. Okay. Okay, if this is false, if this count equals to 0 goes to false, means you have already enqueued some element, then queue is not empty. Queue is not empty. Not empty. Like this. If this thing is false, if this thing is false, what we are doing? We are checking whether rear equals to front minus 1 or not. Front minus 1 or not. If this thing is true, queue is empty. Again, queue is empty. Queue empty. If this thing is false, queue is not empty. If this thing is true, queue is empty. If this thing is false, Queue is not empty. Not empty. These things you have to understand and remember. And checking the fullness, it is very easy. Your rear must go capacity minus 1. Your rear must go capacity minus 1. Then only we call the queue as full. Otherwise, it is not full. Otherwise, it is not full. Okay. So NQ operation already I have explained. First, we have to check whether the queue is full or not. We have to check is full. Okay. If this is true, if isFull is true, then immediately we are printing this statement on the output screen. We are printing this statement on the output screen and we are returning from here itself. We are not going beyond and we are not inserting the element. We are returning from here itself. If this thing is false, we are going to the rest of the statements. If this thing is false, if this condition is false, if this condition is false, we are going to the rest of the statements. That is, we are inserting the given item to that location. How? By incrementing the rear and inserting the element at that location, and then we are doing the count plus plus. As I told you, count we need because insertion at one end we are performing, deletion at another end we are performing. This is how we enqueue. Then DQ. How we perform DQ? Before DQing, we have to check whether the queue is empty or not. If it is empty, that is, if this condition is true, then we are printing this underflow condition. If this is false, then we are going to the removal. If this is false, we are going to the removal. And after removal, we are decrementing the count value to have the proper count of the queue elements. So like this. So these two are peak operations, peak functions, peak from the front, peak from the rear. Because we have two ends now, we can peak an element from the front as well as we can peak the element from the rear. This peak rear, they will rarely ask. This peak rear, not that much mandatory to implement. Okay, only peak front we used to implement. Only peak front, or simply we call this operation as peak only. We call this operation as peak only. So if you perform the peak, you can peak the element only from the front. But if you want peak front and peak rear both to be implemented, you can do. Peak front as well as peak rear, both you can implement. So with this, we have done with the concept of queues. Okay, concept of queues. Now we do the implementation of this queue with the help of templates. So quickly we see the implementation. The understanding is very important. As I said, what is NQ operation, what is DQ operation, what is size operation, what is empty, what is isFull. Okay, all these operations you have to be familiar and you are supposed to be in a position to implement. Okay, don't consider the complete program like a single program. Rather, divide the program into small functions and become familiar with those functions. Okay. So quickly, I'm taking a new sheet, new resource, source file, and here I'm implementing my queue. So I will do the template implementation. So hash include IO stream, then using namespace standard std, then I have to, we'll do in that same way. First, we'll do the integer implementation, then we do the template. Okay. So first I'm writing for integers. So directly I'm taking class queue demo init int star. I need an integer array. So I'm taking the array name as a pointer. Int star queue, because I want my queue size to be dynamic. That is the reason why internal elements, internal size of the array I'm not giving. Simply I'm taking the first element, array element, which is a pointer. And that size I'm going to allocate with the help of new operator. That new operator will allocate from the heap. Isn't it? If you declare this as an array, okay, if you declare this as an array, so there are two problems. Like this, there are two problems. One, the size will become fixed. Isn't it? The size will become fixed. Using this code, you can create a queue of 5 elements only. You cannot create less than to that or more than to that. Isn't it? The size will become fixed. So that is the problem. And the other problem, the memory what it is going to take, it will be allocated only from the stack. No heap memory is being utilized over here. It is an inefficient way, isn't it? Whenever possible, we have to allocate the memory from the heap. And data structure implementation, of course, you have to go for heap. So int star will allocate the memory from the heap. It is just a pointer declaration. Memory allocation we have not done yet. It is just the pointer declaration. Memory allocation, when we do, means inside the constructor we will allocate the memory and using the new operator, and new operator will take the memory from the heap. That we already know. So int star q, then we are taking, like as I have explained in the example, capacity variable, front variable, rear variable, okay, then count variable, count, count variable. All these variables I have taken inside my what we call uh, class, QDemo class. Then publicly I want to declare some of the operations, like all the ADT operations, abstract data type operations. So before going to that, I have to initialize my queue. That I will do with the help of constructor, isn't it? QDemo of size. Whatever size I want, that size of queue I need. That many elements I need inside the queue. So simply this size I am going to pass from the main function, and this size will be passed like an argument to this constructor, and it will create a queue of this size, a queue of that specified size. So next is enqueue operation. Okay, enqueue operation, enqueue will take integer type, because we are implementing integer element. Then dequeue, you can, if you want, you can return. I don't want to return, rather I will print from the what we call function itself. So dequeue off, it won't take anything. So like this. Next we have peek front. So as we are doing integer implementation, peek front will return integer value, and peek rear will also take an integer value, and integer will also return an integer value. Okay, then we have the size function, which will give the size of your queue, how many elements you have inside that queue, that count it will give. Okay, size. Next is empty, as it is going to return a boolean value. The return type will be boolean. Then is empty function, it will check the possibility whether emptiness of your queue. Then fullness is full. Is full will check the fullness of your queue. So all these operations we have to implement now. So one by one I am doing. First I will do the implementation of, I will give the code for this QDemo. Okay, QDemo constructor. So what is my class name? QDemo, because I have to qualify my constructor call, isn't it? Q demo, scope resolution, then again Q demo. Okay, Q demo of int size. Int size. Here it should not be size, rather it has to be int. Okay, it has to be int, but here it has to be size. So remove this one and write the definition for this one. Constructor, that is I'm creating a queue now. So I'm taking my class name, sorry, whatever I have given over here, I have given the array name, pointer over here. This pointer is going to point that array now. Okay, sequence memory locations from the sequential memory locations from the heap now. So that queue equals to whatever size I have passed, that many I need. So new operator will allocate the memory from the heap. How much memory? What type of memory? Integer memory. How much memory? Of size memory. Whatever size we want, that size of memory it will allocate. So basically it has to be like an array, because we are allocating the memory for array. So like this it has to be. Sorry, it has to be. We are basically creating an array. So next, capacity will become the number of elements, size. Then front, initially we are making it as 0. Rear, initially we are making it as -1. Okay, then count, initially it is 0. Initially it is 0, like this. Like this, we have initialized all my elements. So then I have to write the enqueue function, isn't it? Enqueue function. So the return type is void. My class name is queue demo. Scope resolution. Enqueue is my scope resolution. It is not giving. Okay, whatever. Enqueue is my some reason. Okay, enqueue of uh, integer type of item. I'm reading. In this, what I have to do, first of all, I have to check. So before enqueuing, better to write those functions now. Is full and is empty functions. So is full function return type is boolean. So queue demo scope resolution is full. Okay, it will not take any parameters. So when you say the queue is full, if your rear is capacity minus 1. If rear equals to capacity minus 1, then we call the queue as full, isn't it? So simply return this one, return. Return of this entire thing. Return of this entire thing. So if your queue is full, means if your rear becomes capacity minus 1, this entire condition will become true. And this return will return the true. So your is full function will return true. In that way it will work. So next is emptiness. So boolean queue uh, demo, my class name, scope resolution is empty of. Inside it we have to check two things, whether your front is 0 or not. If at all your front is equals to 0, then what we have to do, if your front is 0, simply check your count is also 0 or not. So that you return. Simply return your count, count equals to 0 or not. Okay. In the else case, else means if your front is not equals to 0, then return your rear must be front minus 1. Rear equals to front minus 1, that you write over here, front minus 1, like this. So this, yeah, two functions we have done. Then int main of void, this code I will write, I'm about to write. So after this, yeah, after is full, yeah, here I will come back and I will write the enqueue. So is full of, if this thing is returning true, then what we have to do, we have to stop, isn't it? If my queue is full, I cannot perform the enqueue. So what I have to do, I have to write if my queue is full, enqueue operation, yeah, I have to print that statement, C out of, take backslash n, overflow. Overflow means you cannot perform the insertion and you have to terminate the program. Program terminated. Program terminated, like this. So if your queue is full, and here only you have to return, or either you can return or you can even exit. So exit will terminate the entire program and return will simply return from this function. Okay. So the next thing, uh, if at all this thing is not true, if at all this is full is not true, then you can perform the enqueue operation. How you can perform the enqueue? That is, see out, you are about to insert the item, whatever item you have received over here, that item you are about to enqueue. So print that one, inserting colon, okay, that item, we are inserting that item over here. So next thing, how you can insert our queue array of, uh, before inserting we have to increment the rear, because insertion we are performing at the rear end. So like this, after inserting you have to increment the count plus plus, to have the number of element count. Okay. So the next thing, dequeue operation. Dequeue will also not return anything. Void queue demo colons, then What is my function name? DQ of, okay, it will not take anything. So when you can perform the DQ, if your queue is not empty. So simply check that one. If at all is empty, if this function is returning true, is empty function is returning true, what we have to do? We have to stop the program. So C out of, okay, underflow condition, isn't it? Underflow, okay, backslash n's you put here also, and after writing program terminated also you have to put one backslash n. So here also program terminated, program terminated, put one backslash n, and at the end semicolon, and here only you have to return without doing any job. So next, if at all that is empty is not true, that means if your queue is not empty, then you can perform the DQ operation. How we can perform? First of all, we have to read that item, isn't it? We have to read that item, or else directly also you can print C out of whatever item you are removing, that directly you can print. So removing colon, okay, here q of, first we have to remove, then we have to increment the front. So front of plus plus, like this, okay, front of plus plus, and just to have the difference you take backslash n, okay, line difference. Then after removing, count minus minus. So far we have implemented NQ, DQ, is empty, is full, isn't it? So before that, what I want my peak front and peak rear functions also. So as it is of integer type q, so both my peak front, peak rear functions will return integer type of value. My class name q demo, scope resolution, peak front, of, so it will not take anything. So next is how we can peak. Simply return, as we are picking the element from the front of the queue. So q of, so like this, q of front, that's it, this much of code. And peak rear, how we can write? Int q demo, scope resolution, peak rear of, sorry, like this. So return peak rear, q of rear, that's it. So peak front, peak rear we have implemented. Once again, just go to the list and see. Yeah, constructor implementation we have given. NQ, DQ we have given. Peak front, peak rear we have given. Size is left out. Is empty, is full also we have done. So size is left out. Do the size implementation. After peak rear, I am doing the size implementation. So size is also integer value. Q demo, scope resolution, size. Will not take any parameters. Okay, so here return count, because count is holding your number of elements. So return count, that's it. So my complete program implementation is over. So now what I have to do? I have to create my stack, and I have to NQ and DQ with the elements according to my need. Okay, so just as I have created integer stack, so q demo equals to QUE, q of how many elements? I want like 5 elements. Okay, 5 elements. So 5 element queue I have created. Now what I want to NQ the element. Q dot, first let us save this program. So QIMPL implementation dot CPP. Q implementation dot CPP. Okay, so maybe something is going wrong. That is the reason why when I'm using this dot, it is not giving any list. Okay, we will see by compiling the program, we will see what mistake we have done. So q dot NQ operation I want to perform. NQ of I want to NQ some 23 integer value. Then q dot so yeah, here only we will check whether we can enqueue this 23 into the queue or not. So I'm saving the program, tools, execute, compile, is empty. What it is saying is empty, if empty, no, if empty not, is empty, it is empty. Okay, compile. Okay, successfully compiled, then run. Yeah, inserting 23, whatever 23 we are in, I mean, we just have enqueued, or it is better instead of inserting, removing enqueue, dequeue words we use. Okay, here enqueue and here dequeue. In place of removal, we use dequeue. See, with all these corrections, again I will update my notes on the what we call blog. If you have taken the printout, means no issues. You can do the corrections by seeing the notes. Unless we do something, unless we go to that place, we'll not understand it thoroughly, isn't it? So there may be some mistakes on the notes. Enqueuing 23, 23 enqueue we have done successfully. So now one more element I want to enqueue. So queue dot enqueue of 42. Okay, taking one more element into the queue. So compile, successfully compiled, then execute. Yeah, we have to put \n also when we are in queuing. That I think I have not done. \n dequeue. Enqueue. For enqueue I have not done. So \n, control C, save, compile. So two elements I have enqueued into the stack. So run. So now you can see both the elements got enqueued. Enqueue 23, 42. So what is my queue size? Queue size I have 5. So I can input 3 more elements. So what I am doing, 23, 23, 42, 79, okay, 102, 103, and here some 34. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements I'm trying to enqueue into the stack. So compile, got compiled successfully, then run. It got executed successfully. Okay, got executed successfully. So 5 elements we have enqueued into the queue. So now suppose if I want to enqueue this last element 97 as well onto the queue, 6th element, is it acceptable? No. So what will happen when I am inserting this 97? So immediately this 97 will be copied into this enqueue where I am performing the enqueue operation. Here I am performing the enqueue. So item will become 97, then is full will be checked. Is full will be checked. So right now, after inserting this 34, my queue is full. So this is full will become true. So immediately this you will get on the output screen. Overflow, program terminated. This you will get on the output screen, and your program will, your function will simply return. Simply see this one. Compile. It has to do in that way. Whether it will do or not, I don't know. Maybe there are some errors. Okay, so immediately we'll check that one. As you can see, overflow, program terminated. When I'm trying to insert that 97, the 6th element, I cannot. My program got terminated because my queue got overflowed. Okay, so that is the reason why I'm unable to. So next thing, what I will do, I will put this thing into comment section because I don't want my queue to be overflowed. So what I'm doing now, I want to dequeue. So queue of dequeue. Do I have to check anything over here? Nothing, isn't it? Dequeue. Simply perform the dequeue operation. So this dequeue will remove the first element from the queue. That is, what element we have inserted first? 23 we have inserted first, isn't it? So 23 has to be removed first. So you see that one, run. After enqueuing all, it has to remove 23. It has to dequeue 23. That 23 you can see over here. It is dequeuing in FIFO fashion. First in, first out. Because 23 got inserted first, 23 got removed first. So in that way. So next, one more dequeue will dequeue the 42. One more dequeue will dequeue the 42. So go and check. See, 42 also dequeued. So okay, put another one. Will dequeue after 42, 79. That 79 also got dequeued. Yeah, put another dequeue. So 103 and one more dequeue. 34. All my elements will be dequeued. Yes, see 23, 42, 79, 103, 34 enqueued. Afterwards 23 first dequeued, 42 second dequeued, 79 third, 103 fourth, and then 34 fifth. Like this it has dequeued all my elements. So can I dequeue more elements from this queue? Can I dequeue? No, not possible, because calling the dequeue one more time will invoke this dequeue function, and in that your isEmpty function will become true. IsEmpty function will become true, so you will get underflow program terminated on your output screen. Quickly check that one. Yeah, underflow program terminated, because after your queue is completely empty, you're trying to remove more elements from the queue. So it is an underflow condition and your program supposedly got terminated. So in this way we can do the integer implementation of your queue. So now how we can make this as a template? Okay, no type specific. So template definition class T. This particular thing you have to put here. Template class T. Then wherever you want, yeah, this queue of T type you want, not integer specific type, but T type. Your capacity, it is an integer value, front, rear, integer, index values. All these are indexes, so they have to be integers. But here, Q demo of size int only, but NQ we do template type. Okay, DQ peak front, peak rear of template type only. Okay, size integer, isEmpty is full, boolean only. So then when you do the implementation of the functions, when you write the definition of the functions, here also you have to do template class T. Like this you have to do, and moreover here also you have to write this T like this. Okay, qdemo T, and int size it will become like this only, and array of template size, not of integer size. Template size we want capacity equals to size, front 0, these are all same, and here also you have to add template, okay, class T, and here another T like this. So item it should be of template type. Is full, this entire things same, this is also same, this is also same, no change. Here one more template definition class T, and here also you have to put T like this. Okay, and rest of the things they are same in DQ operation. Nothing changed. Okay, peak front here it will return of type template. Okay, so peak front, write the template definition here. Template class T, and here also 1T you have to put like this. Okay, then peak front will return template type of value. So peak rear will also return template, and Q of rear, yeah, this definition you have to do the template here. Template definition class T, and here also you have to put one T like this. Okay, okay, next size is also same thing. Template class T, and here also you have to put one T, because your class is template. Now all your function definitions must be of function templates, so that I am doing now. Template class T, here T, class is template. Okay, here also same thing. Template class T, here T is empty, is full. That's it. Okay, that's it. Main function, it is non-template only. And how you can make your Q demo specific to integer means simply by passing like this int. Okay, so now it has to give the same output as you got previously. It has to give the same output. Yeah, successfully compiled and run. Yeah, as you can see, you are getting the same output. So even you can make your type as, instead of int, I can make this as string. So when you are making the type as string, pass strings over here. First I am passing AB, then I am passing CD, then I am passing EF, then I am passing GH, finally I am passing IJ. So now it has to support this one also. It has to enqueue these strings into that queue, because now I'm creating queue of type string. Queue of type string. So how many elements I will get into my queue? 5 elements. All elements capable of holding strings. All elements capable of holding strings. So I'm passing 5 strings to my queue. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. 5 strings to my queue. So that 5 strings, they should not do any change. Okay, they have to be inserted like they are regular, normal values only. Okay, then I'm dequeuing. So your queue must enqueue all these values, as well as your queue must dequeue all these values. So compile. The code got successfully compiled. Only this change you have to do. In place of integer, we kept string. So my complete definition, now my complete code, it became string specific now. Previously it was integer specific. Now it is string specific. Likewise, you can change any type. Instead of string, you can put double, float, like that, character, like that over here. So no need to go to the code, no need to change the entire code. Simply over there we are changing one word. When you are creating the object of that class, at that location only you are passing the type. That's it. So now go to compile, compilation successful, and execute. Go run. Execution, if you see, yes, it has inserted, as you can see, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Then it has dequeued A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. You're calling after dequeuing IJ, also you are calling the dequeue function one more time. So it is an underflow condition. So it is displaying underflow program terminated. So like this. Hopefully you understood this complete concept. We have discussed the examples, as well as we have seen the implementation in C++. The coding is very simple. Okay, so just I will explain how an enqueue operation will be performed and how a dequeue operation will be performed. Okay, whenever you are enqueuing, whenever you are calling the enqueue for the first time, this AB will be transferred like a template variable, like a template value from here to here. from here to NQ. Where we have NQ? Yes, here we have NQ, like a template item. So item will become that AB. Okay. So then it will check whether your stack is queue is full or not. As you know, right now we have not done any pushing. When you are doing this AB, we have not done any NQing. So your queue is completely empty. So is full will return false. So the control will come over here. It will print this value NQ AB. Okay, then it is inserting, it is enqueuing inside that queue by simply incrementing the rear value. Rear value, it was previously -1, right now it will become 0, and at q of 0 that AB will get inserted. Q of 0, that AB will get inserted. AB, like a string, will get inserted, and we are incrementing the count simply to know the elements inside the queue. So in this way, NQ operation will be performed for all the elements until and unless your queue will become full. Once the queue full, you will get this overflow program got terminated statement on your output screen. How the dequeuing will be performed? So dequeue, when you are calling, the control will jump to the dequeue function, and here we have the dequeue. Okay, so it is checking whether my queue is empty or not. So when you are inserting all the elements A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, up to that, when you are inserting all the elements, all your locations will become full and your queue is not empty, isn't it? So the counter will come over here, and you will get this message: DQ of queue of front plus plus. So initially my count is 0, front is 0. So queue of 0, that AB value will be dequeued, then front will get incremented. So front will become 1 now. So after printing that AB, front will become 1. So count, it will decrement 1, because after inserting IJ, your count became 5. Now we are slowly decrementing the count value. So count will become 4 now. So one more iteration, one more DQ operation, then is empty not true, counter will come over here. Now my front is 1. So Q of 1, that is CD. CD will get printed on the output screen, and front will become 2 now. Front will become 2 now. Likewise, it will DQ all the elements from the queue. It will DQ all the elements from the queue, and when all the elements get DQ'd, your count will become 0. Your count will become 0, and if at all your front is not 0 and the count is also not 0, then rear will be compared with front. Rear will become front minus 1. So your is empty function will return false, because your front is not 0, then rear will become front minus 1. So this is empty function will return false. So your DQ operation, will also is empty will become true. Then this underflow condition you will get on the output screen. In that way, this NQ, DQ functions will work. Hope you got the concept. Hope you understood this coding. I suggest you to do the same coding at your home as well, and practice these programs, because these programs, they improve your programming skills. Many people will think that why we are doing this kind of stupid stuff when it is nowhere concerned, because they will improve your basic programming knowledge, as well as they will improve your programming skills. Because when you write such programs, you are using different programming constructs. You are using loops, you are using if else conditions, control structures, you are using arrays, you are using classes, you are using objects, you are using calling of the functions from a class, you are using private members. Okay, using the private members outside the class, how we are using all those basics here we are implementing. So simply this data structure implementation, it is nothing but the practice of your basics. So knowing the concepts, but also practicing the basics. Hope you understood this and will improve your programming skills by practicing all these programs. Okay, with that intention in our mind, I'm concluding today's class. Thank you very much. In our next class, we'll be discussing circular queues, another concept. We have some drawback in queue. That drawback we will discuss afterwards. We'll discuss the circular queue concept. With that concept, in one more video, I will conclude your second unit, hopefully. Thank you very much, students.